The New Flyer line of urban transit coaches, low floor, high floor, and articulated models offer superior durability and comfort. This video is one in a series in support of New Flyer transit coaches. Please consider the manual that accompanies your coach as the only accurate and final authority regarding the service and maintenance procedures for your coach. It is your responsibility to become completely familiar with the warnings, cautions, and notes used in the manual and this video. Proper service and repair is essential to the safe and reliable operation of the coach. This video will cover the service and maintenance procedures for the MAN front axle of the coach. 3 types of headings are used in the guide and video to attract your attention. Warning. Warning is used when an operating procedure, practice, etc., if not correctly followed, could result in personal injury or loss of life. Caution. It's used when an operating procedure, practice, etc., if not strictly observed, could result in damage to or destruction of equipment. Note is used to provide additional information that requires special attention by the operator. It is your responsibility to be completely familiar with the warnings and cautions described in the service manual. These warnings and cautions advise against the use of specific troubleshooting methods that can result in personal injury, damage to the equipment, or cause the equipment to be unsafe. It is, however, important to understand that these warnings and cautions are not exhaustive. New Flyer Industries could not possibly know, evaluate, and advise service technicians of all conceivable ways in which service, maintenance, troubleshooting might be done, or of the possible hazardous consequences of each way. Consequently, New Flyer Industries has not undertaken any such broad evaluation. Accordingly, anyone who uses a service, maintenance, troubleshooting procedure or tools not recommended by New Flyer Industries Limited must first be thoroughly satisfied that neither personal safety nor equipment safety will be jeopardized by the troubleshooting procedures selected. Proper service and repair are important to the safe, reliable operation of the equipment. The service, maintenance, troubleshooting procedures recommended by New Flyer Industries and described in the manual and this video are effective methods for carrying out service procedures. Some of these troubleshooting procedures require the use of special tools. The special tools should be used when and as recommended. The procedures and techniques presented in this video were performed on an MAN front axle assembly removed from the coach. It is identical to the equipment found on your coach and was used to provide a better view of the components and procedures undertaken. Position the coach safely in your shop and remove both the front wheel and tire assemblies. Hub disassembly and inspection. Once the wheel and tire have been removed, back off the slack adjuster in order to remove the drum. Remove the 2 10mm Allen bolts that hold the front drum on. Once removed, these securing bolts can be used to push the drum off the hub. There are 3 push holes, so the 2 bolts will have to be used in sequence to fully remove the drum without binding.
One over and push it off so you're pushing the drum off straight.
To have cowboy boots moving around in the background.
Once the drum is loose, remove it.
Okay?
Rolling.
Loosen the clamping bolt with an 8mm Allen wrench. Loosen just enough so that the nut can be turned by hand for removal. Inspect the hub threads for any damage. An adapter bushing is used to pull the hub. Thread the bushing in carefully, taking care to avoid cross-threading. Thread the forcing screw into the adapter bushing. Tighten the forcing screw by hand at first and use a wrench once it's tight. As the screw is tightened, the hub will come loose. The hub must travel quite a distance before it is completely loose. Remove the puller assembly. Remove the bearing.
Stop. And then the hub will come off.
The hub seal and inner bearing assembly usually stay on the spindle. A collet is used to remove the inner bearing. The teeth on the collet grip the back of the rollers of the inner bearing. Slide the collet over the bearing. Tighten up the fingers over the bearing by pushing on the sliding collar. Thread the forcing screw and its adapter into the collet. Tighten the forcing screw by hand to remove any slack. Use a wrench on the forcing screw to remove the bearing completely. Examine the seal wear surface for grooving. To remove the bearing from the collet, slide the sleeve back and gently tap the collet on a block of wood. Check the bearing for rust or pitting. The spindle may have some rust on it. Clean any rust with a Scotch-Brite pad or similar mild abrasive. Remove any dirt from the spindle threads with a soft wire brush. Brake shoe assembly. Remove the outer brake spring using the special tool. This can be done with the hub on. Remove the inner spring using the special tool. Remove the locking wedge hold-down bolt.
Lock washer underneath this? That's how we're gonna block tight. You're gonna have to mention that, or you're gonna wait to go next door and go through the lock tight. What the hell is this kind of stuff? Okay.
Drive out the locking wedge with a punch. Remove the anchor pin plugs from the backing plate. Drive out the anchor pins with a soft punch. If the pins don't move with moderate force, a press should be used to remove them. The pins will come out through the holes in the backing plate. Inspect the bushing for premature wear. Check the pin for scoring and wear. Remove the roller snap ring. Remove the washer.
Tap that
Remove the pin. Remove the roller. Remove the roller seal and check the bushing. If the bushing is in good condition, lubricate it thoroughly and install new O-ring seals. Clean, inspect, and lightly lubricate the roller pin mounting holes.
Grease and our anchor pins go.
Clean, inspect, and lubricate the roller pin. Install the roller and tap the pin in place. Replace the washer and the snap ring.
And snap ring. And snap ring pliers. And we may have to fudge this one.
This completes the disassembly and inspection of the brake shoe assembly.
Oh, got it.
Disassembly, inspection, and reassembly of the slack adjuster. Remove the cotter pin from the clevis pin. Remove the clevis pin. Remove the index lever hold-down bolt. Remove the S-cam snap ring. Remove the washers. Remove the S-cam position indicator. Remove the slack adjuster washer and S-cam. Check the S-cam needle bearings and examine the camshaft for wear and brittling. Lubricate the needle bearings with high-temperature lithium-based grease. Lubricate the S-cam shafts with high-temperature lithium-based grease. Slide the S-cam into place and wipe off excess grease. Install the spacing washer and slack adjuster. Line up the notch in the camshaft position indicator with the groove in the end of the S-cam. Place the large hole washer over the splines. Install the small hole washer. Replace the snap ring. Lubricate the clevis pin and install. Install the cotter pin in the clevis pin. With the push rod fully retracted, the clevis pin should rotate freely. Push the indexing lever away from the adjusting screw towards the brake chamber. Install the locking bolt and tighten.
Stops.
This completes the disassembly, inspection, and reassembly of the slack adjuster. Brake shoe installation. Lubricate the anchor pin bushing with high-temperature lithium-based grease. Install new O-rings. Mount the brake shoes. Drive the anchor pins in with a hammer and soft punch. Install the locking wedge into the grooves in the pins.
Installed right.
Install the locking wedge hold-down bolt and tighten hand tight. Using the hammer and punch, Drive the wedge in tight. Tighten the locking wedge bolt.
Socket.
Torque the bolt to 28 foot-pounds.
Click.
Install the outer spring. Install the inner spring. Inspect the bearing and races for signs of wear, overheating, and pitting. Ensure that the grease slinger is not damaged. Pack the bearings thoroughly with grease.
See it coming out?
Be back.
The grease should be forced all the way through the bearing cage.
Okay.
I'm sure it didn't do it smooth that time.
The spring behind the seal lip can come loose quite easily. Use petroleum jelly or some grease to hold the spring in place. Press the seal into the hub until it is flush using a seal driver. Installing the hub on the spindle requires special tools. Install the spindle adapter all the way. Place the hub onto the spindle and slide the outer bearing over the spindle adapter. Install the bearing.
Okay.
Wow.
Thread the adapter bushing onto the hub. Place the collar over the spindle adapter and thread on the cap with the nylon bushing. Thread the T-handle onto the forcing screw. Thread the forcing screw into the spindle adapter. Turn the T-handle to push on the hub. As the T-handle is turned, the hub will be pushed on. Tighten the T-handle until the hub stops moving.
See with the taper on that shaft, it kind of has a tendency to bind.
Remove the tooling. The washer has a flat spot on it to keep it from turning. Make sure this flat spot lines up with a corresponding flat spot on the spindle. If the spindle flat spot is not exposed, the hub should be turned on further. If the flat spot protrudes through the washer, re-inspect the bearings and the hub. Install the split spindle nut. While turning the hub, tighten the spindle nut to 203 foot-pounds. Back the nut off 1/6 of a turn. Tighten the clamping bolt to 28 foot-pounds. Because the bearings fit so snug on the spindle, the outer bearing will have to be pulled back to the spindle nut. Install the puller bushing. Tighten the forcing screw until it stops. This will put the proper end play into the bearings. Consult the service manual on performing a rolling torque measurement. Remove the tooling. Install the hub cover and tighten to 103 foot-pounds. Mount the drum and position it so the drum bolts line up.
There we go. Or, no, a little bit more. Like it does up right there.
Install the drum hole down bolts.
Bolts too.
Torque the drum hole down bolts to 48 foot-pounds. Tighten the slack adjuster until tight and back off 1/2 a turn. Once the wheels have been installed, check the brakes for proper adjustment. This concludes the front axle assembly service video. Please remember that your new Flyer service manuals, CD-ROMs, and bulletins are the final authority on any and all adjustment, service, maintenance, and repair details.